Hey there, friends. I want to welcome you back to A New Thing with Cyndi, where we are on the lookout for the new thing that God always wants to do in your life and my life. We just have to position ourselves and posture ourselves so that He can do the new thing. Because when we're closed off, then we can't receive, right? We got to open our hands up and say, yes, I am positioning myself for the new thing. And so that's what this podcast is all about. I'm so excited. I am your host, Cyndi Galley. And we have some amazing, fresh conversations that are real, that are faith-infused conversations with creatives, with leaders, with entrepreneurs, with authors, actors, directors. I mean, we've had so many incredible documentary filmmakers. It has been an incredible time. And this is a new season. We've just kicked off a new season recently. So I am so glad that you are here. If you're here for the first time, then I want to welcome you. And if you've been here and you're part of our New Thing family, then welcome back, y'all from Tennessee. I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we're tackling something that I feel is like we don't talk about this enough. It's etiquette. What? It's etiquette, and not the stiff, like rule handbook by, kind of way, but really in just how we carry ourselves with dignity, with kindness, with grace, with character in our day-to-day. Now, this is nothing about changing your personality, because you can be cray, you can be fun and still have etiquette. But I am just so excited because this truly is a much needed conversation. And I find that the more that I get older and the generations are coming up, I'm like, ooh, I think we really need to somehow infuse etiquette back into our society. I mean, 50, 60 years ago, yes, it was very much at the top of society, but it definitely has slipped down. And even with leaders, even with myself. So I'm excited about today's guest. Her name is Bradleigh Coggins. She's an incredible woman. She's not only passionate about etiquette, but she also helps people connect the dots between simple courtesies, building a life of confidence, honor, respect. And she's also teaching and training today's individual, today's human, and inspiring us in how to carry ourselves through these live trainings, through her workshops, through her website. And so I'm super excited to have her on as our guest today. And I know that you will be excited too. Would you please help me welcome Bradleigh Coggins? Hello, my friend. How are you, Bradleigh? Welcome.
Hi. Hello, Cyndi, my friend. I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh my goodness, girl. I am so good, but I am so excited about this. You and I have been having this conversation about etiquette for quite some time, and I've been one who has had the advantage and opportunity to sit in your live training and your live courses, and you're just like, ooh, like, oh my goodness, I don't think I do that, or maybe I need to get a little better at that. And so I'm excited for us to jump right in. So many people think that etiquette is like old fashioned, but yet the way that you bring it to us, the way that you teach it to us, it's so fresh, it's so relevant. So can we just kind of dive right in, girl?
Yes, let's do it.
I love it.
I'm blessed by your words. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so blessed to have you in my life. Truly, your friendship has been so refreshing to me. And of course, anytime we're together, we, no matter where we're at, we always have a good time. But it's one of these things where we talk about like, oh, we should do this, or we should, and then we just never have. And it's like, no, truly, we need to sit and talk about etiquette. In fact, September was National Manners for Children's Day. And so this being National Kindness Week, it just seemed fitting. Like, let's just have Bradleigh on here and let's talk about kindness and etiquette and manners and treating people with respect and dignity. And, I know that you have so many just even simple practicals that are so helpful. And so, what is etiquette? I know it's more than just table manners. What is etiquette really, and why is it important today?
Yes. Great question. I do get that question a lot. And I would say, from a general, if I was to define it, etiquette is just a basic set of guidelines for politeness and good manners with which we should always treat each other. And it does go beyond just table settings and dining. It also goes into social and relational etiquette, how you interact with people, whether it's on social media or in person, at parties and birthdays. And then there's also things like introductions as well. There are ways that we go about interacting with others that can either be from a place of kindness and honor and, giving preference to the other person's well-being over our own, or we operate out of our own flesh and we say we want to do how we want to communicate however we feel like communicating, regardless of how it makes other people feel. And those are usually the moments where everyone has that. It's like that awkward or hurtful situation that comes up. Yeah. Usually we feel that in those instances when etiquette is not being observed. But when it is observed and people are interacting well with kindness and gentleness and all of the wonderful character qualities, everything goes so smoothly. There's peace. Everyone feels respected and honored for their walk of life. So that is probably a very long-winded answer to your question, but etiquette is a very broad umbrella that does cover pretty much every aspect of our life, really, which makes it all the more exciting and fascinating and needed nowadays.
Yeah, no, for real. And, when I say this, and I even, kind of shared even with my own self, it's like, there's been times, I mean, not just in my early 20s, but even recently, where I'm like, why did I just cut that person off? Why did I not let them finish? It's like, I'm so excited to get my 2 cents in there. And it's like, just pull back. Let them finish their, and so I love this because I think really this applies from the oldest to the youngest. I see so many young people not being taught by their parents on basic etiquette, like what are some basic etiquette etiquette 101 that people should already know how to function and interact and relate to individuals this way?
Absolutely. Please and thank you. Saying please and thank you. I think I remember learning those things or seeing parents train their children when they were just toddlers, barely learning how to speak. You give a little baby something like, say thank you. And they're like, you're training them at a younger age. And I don't know what happened, but something got lost. Something happened, and we don't see that being exercised amongst, full-fledged human beings, and that should actually be able to acknowledge when they're given a gift, when someone's taking their time to be with them and be present. So yes, that would be one thing for sure. That's just a basic please and thank you.
I laugh and I'm chuckling, because I can think of one story and it still horrifies me. And it's still repeated to this day, where my then youth pastors were having a nice date. They lived in a parsonage on the property of the church. And I was new to the youth group, and they hit the wife, they were both my youth pastors. Well, she was my mentor and still is to this very day. And so she loves to tell this story even now. And I just cringe. I go, oh, please. Because I knocked on the door. I came over unannounced. Okay. Probably etiquette. Like, don't do that already. That's etiquette rule for sure. Don't come over unannounced.
Yes.
And right. So so they opened the door, and of course they're excited to see me. And I'm not looking at any of the cues. Like there's candlelit it's just the two of them. They had two kids. The kids were not there. And I plopped myself down at the dinner table, and I'm just talking and talking, just already just going.
Just
And yeah. And they're just so sweet. And they just, they're, smiling and nodding. And then when I was done, then I assessed, like, oh, y'all are having like a romantic dinner. I'm so I was like 22,
yeah.
And
Yes.
so to this day, they still crack up, and she loves telling the story. I'm like, please stop telling that story. But some of these things were things that I had been taught, and and some of the things were things that you just kind of catch as you go. And I'm so thankful for them, because I feel like some of the things that I never knew growing up and that now are a part of who I am is because of their graciousness and just the love they extend to people, and treating
Yes.
me with dignity and with honor and all of those things, which you don't hear those words really anymore. The word honor, dignity. I had to buy this book, and I know your book is, I'm so excited about your workbook, but Being the Perfect Host, The Art of the Visit, Becoming the Perfect Guest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I travel so many times, and it's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I bringing the right things to people? When you're spending the night at someone's house, make the bed when you're done. Or sometimes I'll say, do you want me to take off the linens and throw them in the laundry? Or, there are things we can do. And there's just such a lost art cleaning up after yourself when you're visiting someone's house, picking it up, throwing it in the trash, washing the dishes, whatever.
Yes.
I don't even see that even with some 20 and 30-year-olds. It's
Yeah.
like that's like they've never been taught
Even
basic
just
etiquette.
offering, right? Just even
Yeah.
to your point, just offering to assist, whether it's cleaning up the dishes after you've been served a meal at someone's home, or, you know, definitely. I always kind of grew up with the phrase, leave everything as if you hadn't been there. Everything should be in its place the way you found it. Treat other people's things as if they were yours. Not abusing things, or breaking things, or leaving them in worse condition than you found them.
Yeah.
And we all know that accidents do happen, but the intent of the heart posture is one where you want to honor other people's homes, and that's their living space, and they were gracious enough to welcome you into that space to use their things that they had to buy,
Yeah.
and yes, it's definitely a posture of gratitude and honor, just as you said.
I love that. That's so good as you're sharing that. I'm thinking of, even basic etiquette. I'm remembering a time where there were things of mine that either had been lost or broken. I had a very expensive electric keyboard, and somebody was helping me move it, and they kind of did something in a way that they thought, well, if I just run it up the ramp this way, then and then it totally broke. And it was like, kind of, they laughed about it, but never was there a point where it was like, how can I help,
Right.
either pay you back or something. And I would never have even said, oh yeah, you need to pay me. But even the fact that it wasn't offered, or and there's just those types of things. I can think of so many incidences, and I probably have been guilty of that as well. But I love that you said it's that posture of the heart. It's like, Lord, help me to be a giver and not a taker.
Right.
And so I love that what you're saying. It's just that heart to give and to bless and to be generous. And I think some things I didn't even catch until like my 40s,
Mm-hmm.
and it's unfortunate, but again, it's like, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. Etiquette is not learned in a vacuum. Unfortunately, we do have to actually interact with people. It takes the interaction and it takes the learning by, oh, that didn't work, or unless you're taking initiative, and just as you have your book, to read up before you arrive at your destination, to know how to interact with, people that are maybe in a different culture or a different environment than what you're accustomed to. Like, those are all things that in the world of etiquette, it's important to take note so that you don't leave that bad impression or someone feeling like they were devalued or misunderstood. None of us want to be misunderstood. So all of those things, it's very important. And you really don't know until someone either points it out to you or you have that awkward experience. Or in the good cases, someone gives you a compliment because they're grateful that you actually did something that was right. Those are always wonderful moments to have. Unfortunately, I don't think we always remember the good things. It's always the stuff that went really, really wrong that we remember. I myself have some stories of what not to do. And I think I had begun to share this with you previously, Cyndi, but for me, I think one of my biggest etiquette disasters in looking back was actually going to a friend's wedding that was out of state. And the day of, I'm carpooling, we get lost trying to get to the facility or the venue. And by the time we arrive, we're already like a few minutes into the start time. And it just so happens we walk in to the main foyer area and the bride is there ready to walk down the aisle. And we were like, okay, we'll wait. And she was like, no, come on through. Just, you guys are late. Come on through. And so we passed by, we went through the door, not realizing that the door that we went through, that she instructed us to go through, was actually the only way to get out to where all the guests were sitting. And mind you, the procession had already started. So all of the bridal party had walked down the aisle. Everyone was waiting for the bride. So myself and my friend, we walked through the door. Everyone's looking back at us thinking we're supposed to be the bride coming through. It was not good. It was not good. I just remember feeling like walking through and all eyes are on us. And I'm thinking, oh no, we're sorry. We're just the friends from out of state that nobody knows us because we're from high school friends. So nobody knows us. That not good, everyone. Not good. Etiquette would have been wait and let the bride have her moment and go before you, and then you can enter in and slide into the back row and sit. Oh my goodness. I laugh about it now, but
that is horrific. That is cringe worthy. That is like cringing on a movie. You're just like, like what just happened?
It could have come out of a movie. Literally just one of those horrifying like comedy moments of, oh, this is not happening.
Oh man. Well, and it's so interesting, that you're sharing this because this is what you do. This is what you teach. And really, when I think of Bradleigh, you're a woman of grace and you just carry yourself with such elegance and beauty. And, I do want women, because I know etiquette is not just for women, it's men and women both. But it's important for women to know that you can still be etiquette and have practice etiquette, but still be yourself, And I think, is there a time and a place for everything? Yes, there is a time and a place, and like I tend to be more talkative and I'm kind of loud and I laugh loud, but I'm not going to be doing that in a place where it's not fitting, And so I think it just, back to your point, it really is like, take note of what the surrounding is, what's going on. It would have been great if you would have had a wedding planner in the foyer to say, oh no, don't go down the center aisle. Let's, but you didn't know, and your precious bride, she's like, no, 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 just go in. But oh my goodness, yeah,
Yeah,
I can
she was
imagine.
very gracious.
Yeah, I know. Well, and this is such a great conversation. One of my best friend's moms lives out here in Tennessee. And I'm always saying, Mimi, you need to teach like a class, or I need to have you on a webinar. I even wanted to have her here on a new thing, because there are just things that she knows, even from generations, that maybe haven't translated into our generation. But not too long ago, this was probably about 2 years ago, I was at work and I was walking out of a building, and in order to get out of this particular door and this hallway, your skin has to touch the handle. You can't push it with cloth. It can't be, even if you're wearing gloves, it won't open. But the minute it feels your touch, then the door will open. Well, I'm the kind of classic woman. Let me bring everything in at one time. I don't want to do two trips. So I had all my hands filled, and literally was struggling even to get my skin to touch the door, which it did. And the minute I did that and started opening, this young leader just came quickly around the bend from the outside, coming in the same door I'm leaving, on their phone, and didn't even look up, just said, oh, hey, thanks, and walked through without asking, do you need help? And it just dawned on me at that moment, like, what are we doing? How are we not helping equip our young people, our young leaders? I'm all about empowering our young leaders. That is like my heart. That's my passion. And training and handing the baton to the next generation. But it's not okay to hand them the responsibility and the role without teaching them
Yes.
basic, like what you're talking about, basic 101, especially being a young man. I think that was like, so it almost hurt my heart for him to not help me, but not because of me, but because of him. Does that make any sense?
Yes. Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, because we've all done it. That was poor etiquette. And it did create for me an awkward, it was to the point where I sent an email to my leaders and just said, hey, I love that we're empowering our young people, but we've got to train them. I mean, when I was working at this particular workplace, we were reading, everybody was reading Who Moved My Cheese. Everybody was reading What Matters Most. Everybody was reading First Things First by Stephen Covey. And so some of what we learned, good to great, it was because we were reading and studying and learning together. We were being equipped. But talk to us a little bit about that, because I just feel like there's such a hole when it comes to teaching and training this next upcoming generation behind us, behind me, behind you. We're not giving them the right tools for etiquette, and that could be so detrimental. Long story, I know.
No, it's good. It's really good. And so important. I think, I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, and the difference, I think, that what we're seeing right now is there's a lot of self-improvement books. There's a lot of things out there, materials that young folks are reading about how to be successful in life, how to do their best and, achieve excellence. All of those things, though, are often about improving self, whereas etiquette is about others. So there's a shift that I think hasn't been communicated in how we think through situations and circumstances in our environment. It is more about how can I be my best self, not taking into consideration having the awareness of those that are around us. And so I think that may be part of the missing link is we have a lot of things that are about going after your dreams. What is God telling you to do? It's about you, or me. It's not necessarily focusing on the giving and the serving and the meeting the needs of someone else around us. And hey, if I say something like, this food tastes weird, or can you pass or do you have, this seasoning? Like, what is that communicating to the host? It's saying like, wow, you didn't season this well, that you don't have, we don't necessarily think that. We're not trained to think that. We're just trained to say, hey, if you need something, then speak up for yourself and say what it is you need, that you need, not about what the other person how they would respond, or what you're really communicating, whether it's body language, are you paying attention? Are you telling people that you actually are present and you care about what they're saying to you? Or are you kind of distracted and in your phone and you really don't care what they're saying? You may be listening. They may say, I'm listening to you, keep going. But what you're communicating to them is that, yeah, I'm really focused on what I have right in front of my face. You're just in my environment. I'm listening, but I'm not really paying attention. I don't value that. I don't value what you're saying as much. So I think that is the disconnect. We've got a society that's very much me and I focused, and not so much, let's be aware and cater to and take into account other people.
Wow, that's so good, Bradley. Even for me, I'm getting like convicted because, everybody knows wherever I go that my laptop, I'm working on something. I'm producing something. I'm publishing something. I'm writing something. I've got a project to finish. Right. And, obviously, working remotely, yes, there are, you do need to do the work and finish the tasks and things like that. But I think there's something that's so true to what you're saying. I know that for me, I've really been trying to separate, but when you bring it out like that, it just sheds like a whole new light on that, and then I'm thinking that song is just me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
It's just me, myself. But let me bring it back, Cyndi. Bring it back.
We'll have a party after.
There we go. But that's so good. I love that. I hope that individuals watching, I do know that when I'm out to eat, my phone is not on the table. I put the phone away, and I don't expect other people to do that. That's just me to let them know I'm here and I am present. But it is interesting that some people will still, even with mine away, I will still see theirs out on the table, and still kind of looking at it and things like that. And so that's so good. I love that. Boy, it's like we need your training, your website, your resources to go into every high school. And because this is just such an important thing to learn. And it's, people will say, oh, it's old fashioned and people don't do that anymore, but we need to do that. That's the thing. It's just been that lost art of etiquette. And so, you talked a little bit about character and, and the connection between character and etiquette. What is the connection between the two? Like, can you unpack that for us a little bit?
Sure. It's interesting. As I've learned more about etiquette and have been able to exercise and practice it myself, I realized at some point that, this is a perfect tool for learning how to be kind to people, for learning how to be patient, for learning how to respond with in gentleness and not being harsh or rude. Yes, when driving, you get cut off, learning how to, in a sense, deny the flesh initial reaction. And how do I operate with fruit of the spirit, in love, and, in peace and patience and kindness and self-control. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Etiquette absolutely will challenge you in that area of self-control, because what we want to do and what should be done are two very, very different things. So that, I think, is it's just a very practical way that, through the help of the Lord, obviously, we can actually build that muscle of good character
I love that.
as we interact with people. Yeah.
That's so good. And, as you're sharing that, I'm thinking about times. I always tell people, don't let your last interaction with a stranger on the road, don't let it be like, don't deposit ugly,
Right.
you know? And, but one thing that I've noticed because that's my rule, I might sometimes still deposit ugly, but they won't see it. But I'll be like, oh, so
Mm,
and I'll still, so it's still not character just because I'm not looking at them and giving them a ugly look, and it's still, I still need to say, okay, Lord, help me to subdue that.
mhm.
And I'm here, I'm good. Maybe they had an odd moment in the car, maybe they just had a horrible situation. I don't honk at people anymore. Just there's things that I've learned over the years. Like, that's not nice to do that. That's not kind. That's not sowing seeds of love. But I love that. It's like really helping to build our character when we can totally like cause that flesh to bow down and
Oh,
walk
yes.
in grace and exhibit the fruit of the spirit. I love that. That is so good.
Yeah. When God showed that to me, it was like, wow, okay. Lord, this is amazing. This is definitely a new thing. I hadn't seen it that way before. Usually,
Yeah.
etiquette is seen as just being a bunch of rules and regulations, and it's uptight, and there's so many you can't really keep them all straight. But when I realized that that etiquette really is about a heart posture, and it is tied to character, that changes everything, and it actually took off some of the pressure of having to know all the details of things, because when in doubt, if you keep the attitude of being one of gratitude, and also of just being courteous or thoughtful towards others, and how my actions and my words would impact them, 9 times out of 10 you're going to do exactly what is the proper thing to do, because that's what etiquette's really about. It's about, how do I interact with people on my day to day in a way that brings people together and is not divisive, something that helps people feel loved, not dismissed. And that was a game changer for me, for sure.
Yeah, that's huge. That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. For somebody that's watching right now and maybe they're like, wow, like all of this is new to me. This is a new thing to me. What are some just three simple things that they could start doing to implement etiquette even today, even right now, as we're here on this show?
That's a great question. I would go back to the basics. I think you and I kind of touched on it at the very beginning of, please and thank you is so basic, takes little effort to do, but it makes such a huge impact on those around us. So that would be one. The second thing I would say is probably actually more of like, how do I learn to do this? Accountability is actually really helpful. Like I said, etiquette is not learned in a vacuum. So if we think that we're going to be able to, you can't practice please and thank you if you don't have someone else on the other side receiving this. So whether that is finding a best friend, or practicing it with family, just make it say, hey, I've got a goal, I want to start saying please and thank you, or whatever that may be. I'd highly recommend that. And thirdly, I think another basic etiquette gesture that our society has definitely kind of slipped on is the art of thank you notes, actually communicating thank you for gifts that are received. I hear this a lot from, specifically, say, for example, weddings and birthdays. Anytime a gift is given, often the giver does not receive a thank you, or it is something that's like super broad and general to like everybody. There is something so powerful by sending a thank you, whether it's, I know technology has changed things, text message. Nothing does quite say thank you the way a handwritten note does, but nonetheless, saying thank you individually, what you're thankful for, naming the gift, make it personal. that speaks volumes. And I think that's a basic etiquette that we have definitely seen societies just kind of let it go to the wayside a bit. And that's really unfortunate, because now we do have this, it comes across with an air of entitlement. And I know we've talked about that with our young generation, but it's definitely something where there is this kind of attitude of entitlement, as if, you're kind of owed certain, gifts, or to be treated a certain way, or, everybody wants respect, but not everybody's given it. So I think that would be something, if we could get back to the art of writing a thank you note, that would be huge.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you so much for that. And, I am guilty as charged. I'm the person that has so many cards that I have bought. Thank you, sympathy, birthday, anniversary, and they never leave. I'm looking at cards right now that I have stamps on, even that I have, and they've been on there for about 6 weeks. I have not sent them yet. So this is really, I'm just so appreciative of this conversation, because we should always want to get better. We always want to grow. It's, it's like, if you're not growing, if your life looks exactly the same way a year later than it, the year before, then you've got to reevaluate and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? Because we should always be people who evolve and who grow, always. And so it doesn't matter how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter how long you've lived your life on the earth. It doesn't matter how many accolades you have. We should always be striving to grow. So thank you so much for that. One thing that you talked about was that servant posture. And I love that. One of Jesus to me is the ultimate, person who did that. And I'm reminded in Matthew, Mark, John, where he talks about how the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many, and I think if we could take that posture of servanthood, and how can I serve this individual? Like there was a book that I read years ago, and goodness, I can't remember. And I want to read it now. It was on servant leadership. And there's a song, excuse me, that The Basin and the Towel by a psalmist named Michael Card. This song is old, but I remember first listening to it and just crying, because we really are called to be people who serve, especially for people that are saying, I'm a believer. Then we really need to change that attitude of entitlement and things are owed me, this, I deserve this. None of those things are God's character. And even when you're talking about honoring people, not too long ago, I had somebody on our podcast, and they were talking about, if we could just realize that everybody's been created in the image of God, every one of us, whether they've been filled with the Spirit of God, whether they've acknowledged or not, they have all been created in his image. And I was like, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Like even the rudest person, even the meanest person, still created in God's image. And then, so how do we relate to that? How do I now, my response to you needs to be different if it was wanting to be rubbed or aggravated, because I want to honor you. I need to honor you, another human being created in the image of God. And when she said that, I said, man, can you imagine the lack of hatred and spewing? And I mean, people are just getting so nasty right now. It actually hurts my heart to read some of these things and to see them or to hear them, and I don't get caught up in any of that. I don't have time. I've got books to write and things to publish and TV, documentaries to produce. So I really don't have time. But sometimes I'll catch wind and it'll just break my heart. I'm like, that's a person. Either way, like both ways, when the arguing is happening, my heart hurts for both individuals, So thank you so much for sharing that. And I would love to have you maybe give a word or two of encouragement to somebody who might go, oh my goodness, I'm already in my 50s and 60s, and I've never operated in etiquette or honoring people. I don't want that person to feel ashamed or embarrassed. What word of encouragement could you give to them to encourage them? Hey, don't worry about it. Let's just do this now.
Yes, it's never too late to start. So it's not something where it's like a pass or fail of life. We all have made mistakes, so no one's perfect. And it is something that everyone, you have to learn it. It's not inherently in you. So I would say just be encouraged. All it takes is the desire to learn. And to your point, Cyndi, seeing other people and just loving on other people, that is at the root of all of it, right? When it comes to how we view people as just being another human being that is created in the image of God, and how, like, Lord, give me the heart for people that you have. That from that, there's a whole fountain of life that overflows.
Woo!
And it's amazing. I mean, you don't need rules, because you don't need rules if you love other people like that, in that way, with that lens. There's no disrespect. There's no harshness that comes through. You don't have to worry about people feeling dismissed. They're going to feel loved. They're going to feel cared for. They're going to feel your attentiveness to detail. They're going to feel that you're anticipating their needs, that you want things to go smoothly, that you want to serve them because you have a heart posture of love towards them that the Lord has. So be encouraged, for sure. Age is not a factor when it comes to walking in love with people.
I love that. Thank you so much. This has just been so rich for me, and I just feel like this oil of beauty, just like being poured. I don't know if y'all can feel it, but just this oil of beauty just being poured in my heart. And I just thank you so much, Bradleigh, for your wisdom and your heart, your posture, your love, your graciousness, your honoring. I mean, it's so tangibly felt on this interview and time together. I love that. At the heart of what you do, your work, your workshops, this time together, what is it that you would say you want the individuals that you are pouring into? What is it that you would love for them to say? I want them to walk away with this when it comes to etiquette and how it can or should impact their life. What would it be, that one takeaway that you would want everybody to leave with?
I would say I want you to know that etiquette is not a lost art, that it is absolutely still relevant for today. And it is something that if you were to learn and ultimately practice and get to a place where you feel that it's just a part of who you are, that it would truly just elevate your life. I believe etiquette has a way of elevating your life in how you make others feel. It's almost like the sowing and reaping principle. As you sow in love and courtesy and honor towards others, you receive that back. People can't help but actually respond to that. And so by serving, you in turn reap the benefits of that. So that is what I would want someone to walk away with ultimately, is knowing that it's not too late and it's still absolutely relevant, and it makes a difference, especially as what we've just shared of what we see in today's world of just everything being the opposite, seemingly, of that, with harshness and rudeness and lack of care. So if someone were to exercise love and etiquette in this world, they would shine so brightly in what is otherwise a very dark place.
Wow. Thank you so much, girl. This has been so good. I'm just soaking it up like a sponge. Like, yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Jesus. Give me more, Jesus. Give me more.
Oh, thank you, Cyndi. This has been amazing. I'm so blessed and honored to get to share this time with you. And thank you for inviting me. into this space.
Absolutely. Well, I've had the honor, and I talked about it a little bit before in the beginning, and the privileges to sit under you for a workshop. Where I work, we had you come, and they had you and your mom come. You both did a dual training, and it was so enriching, and it was so beautiful, and it just really opened my eyes to the things that were lacking in my life. And I feel like we go from glory to glory. So some of the things that I learned then, it's like now I'm hearing something different. You're probably still sharing the same message. But I would love for any person, whether you're a teacher, a parent, a pastor, an author, an entrepreneur, maybe you have a business. I mean, what Bradleigh is sharing is game changing. It is game changing. And so, she comes, she's got a workshop. She does live trainings, and you can visit her website, graciousetiquette.com, which is so beautiful. Graciousetiquette.com. Sign up for the newsletters to be in, to get all that information about the updates and all of these wonderful things. But if there was ever a time our world needed what you're talking about, Bradleigh, it's now. The grace, the light, the beauty. You mentioned the word life-giving earlier. All of that is needed now. And I think if we as people, as humans, could just reposition ourselves to that, and esteeming somebody else higher than you esteem yourself. And, you said earlier, people just, I'm going to say what I want. I mean, all the things. It's like, gracious etiquette.
I know, gracious.
Gracious etiquette.com. I just thank you so much. And I'm so excited about this. And I want to preach gracious etiquette from the rooftop to every child, every teenager, every young adult, every business owner. I mean, this message, this training, everybody needs to sit under it, and maybe they don't even know the Lord, and that's their prerogative, but still, let's still be gracious, and let's still have etiquette and be kind-hearted to people. And like you said, I love it. You said it's not these rules. It's just when you do this, when you function, operate in this way, then it's just a natural. It comes organically and naturally. I love that. That is so good. It is so good. And so I'm excited. I know you've got a book, that will be soon available on the website as well. And so just all the things that you're doing, continue to do them, Bradleigh. Don't pull back, girl, just run full throttle. Because so many of us are saying, yes, girl, yeah.
Walking in obedience, just walking in obedience, one day at a time.
I love that. Well, it's been so wonderful having you on here. And you guys, again, I just want to point you again, if you've not ever had any inkling or desire to learn about etiquette, may today be the day numero uno, graciousetiquette.com, and just visit the website and see what it's about. But I have just so loved this conversation. I'm telling you, girl, this is so good. Where were you when I was 21?
I don't know if I can answer that question. 21 years, I don't know.
I know.
We should just,
Yeah, I know. So good. But please and thank you. Yes. Sending thank you cards. Yes. Honoring and preferring somebody higher than you would yourself, and just looking at them as they're created also in the image of God. You're not the only one. Yes. And so just may God continue to multiply your ministry, your organization, your workshops, and your live training, because this really is needed. And it's so important. I think it will also help people to grow in confidence. I think there's benefits from that, because now you're not focused on yourself, me, myself, and I, but it's you. And how can I strengthen you, bless you, pour into you, honor you? I'm not talking about being a doormat. And I know that's not what you're talking about either. It's just this posture, heart posture, that is not, it's not the norm, but may it become the norm. And so again, thank you for coming, and it'll be so worth the investment, especially for businesses, to have this as your business culture would be so huge, right? In a company and an organization.
Oh yes. Talk about being set apart. Yes, powerful. Everyone wants good customer service. Everyone wants to feel cared for by the businesses that they interact with. But yeah, it takes training, and it takes a heart posture to actually love on people and serve people. And we need more of that in the world today.
Amen. We absolutely do. Well, Bradleigh, oh my goodness, thank you so much for coming, for just being a part of a new thing, for sharing your heart and your passion. It's so needed. And you guys, I want to thank you all for joining as well. And I just want you to go back, visit her website, graciousetiquette.com, and may you just continue to allow even this conversation to deposit just drops of like gracious dew on your heart. And may it just even bring healing and hope to your heart. You might be like, wow, this is the first time I'm ever hearing something like this, and it's giving me hope. I know that's how I feel right now, is very hopeful. And so just what a beautiful, refreshing reminder that etiquette is not about the rules, but it really is about loving, respecting, honoring each other well. So Bradleigh, thank you so much. Gracious Etiquette, thank you so much. To everybody watching, thank you for tuning into A New Thing with Cyndi. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Share this episode with every friend who might need this beautiful oil, like of gladness and joy, just seeping into their heart. Remember, just the smallest etiquette or courtesy really can spark the biggest change. And so I love you guys. Until next time, keep leaning into the new thing that God has for you. And we will see you next week right here on A New Thing with Cyndi. Thank you, Bradleigh. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Hey, help us get the word out about our show. Subscribe today, right now, to A New Thing Live.